because I remember, show my age now, when every restaurant, without exception, had a rack of lamb on their menu, and I always ordered it too, because I love the blessed things. I really did, and I still do. I think they're fun. And I'm also making a mint sauce. How long since you went somewhere where they had mint sauce? No one makes it anymore. I like it. I do. I mean, they do fancy things. They do homemade mint jelly, nice. I like that too. Mint sauce, homemade mint sauce. Love it. All right, I'll just show you how you make it. A good handful of fresh mint. Has to be. Please don't try and make it with dried. So a handful of fresh mint, 6 tablespoons of boiling water, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. We just mix them to dissolve that sugar. And then we add 6 tablespoons of malt vinegar. Now, good old-fashioned malt vinegar, so not anything fancy. We don't need red wine, we don't need sherry. We certainly don't need balsamic. And it's nice to leave it to sit for a little bit. No, you don't have to sit overnight or anything stupid like that, but just a little bit. Now my racks, I'd hate to think how much they cost because they're pretty expensive, but my mates at Ralph's at South Melbourne Market have trimmed that really well for me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by putting them in hot oil and just sealing that skin there so it's nice and crispy. You could do it with a little bit more fat if you like. You know, don't trim quite as much as Ralph has, but I quite like it, and I like the idea of it being a little crispy. So let's just cook that briefly, and then we'll turn it over, throw it in the oven, 220 degrees oven, not fan force, just normal. And we'll cook it for, I'd say, 10 minutes because we've started the cooking process here. Let's just have a look, James, see how we're going. Right, you see what I mean? See, that's looking good. And that's about all we need to do with that. But just be very careful because it's hot. And it's been on the heat. So in there, and that's quite a thick rack, so maybe 12 minutes. Check after 10. All right. We've got our mint sauce, we've got some potatoes in there, we've got the lamb cooking, and we're going to time it. Now we're looking good. Now it's taken a bit longer than I expected. I reckon it's about 14 minutes. The rack of lamb is plumped up beautifully, looking good. So we'll whip that out, and we'll also whip out some potatoes, which I've done just in some butter and some salt, which look rather nice too, don't they? You could, if you wanted to, cut up the rack. I don't think it needs it. I think it's quite nice, whole, and you help yourself. That's just me. We'll also add some potatoes there. And last but not least, our lovely mint sauce. Now I remember Herman Schneider, who was one of our truly great chefs in a restaurant called Two Faces in the early 70s. Now he used to do this, the rack of lamb, and he used to trim off all the fat and he'd paint it with some mustard, and then he'd put a really thick crust of herbs on and just finish it off in the oven. Absolutely bloody beautiful. I was a bit lazy, I didn't do that. Should. As I said, if you want to, you can cut it into cutlets. I don't think it needs it. I actually quite like the idea of getting into it. Give them a steak knife though, please. And to go with it, a Pinot Noir would be wonderful, or a light Cabernet. But the Pinot, I think, would go beautifully with. Now, where are we? Little Giant. Oh, interesting bottle, isn't it? And I love the way that they have put the current vintage on it by hand. So it's obviously a very small vineyard, handmade, beautiful. All right, my rack of lamb, good old-fashioned favourite with me mum's mint sauce, some nice potatoes, and a bloody nice wine. Guys, to show your support for my channel and to keep in the loop, subscribe. It's easy to do, and don't forget, it's free. Okay, cheers.